Okay, Duane, I will start first straight away with some concern on my observations. It would appear that there are there will be, or there are already two versions of the new presentation. Uh, One in what we may call Western countries, driven by the societal norms and thought forms in those countries, and the other in Africa, which is influenced by its circumstances, its political situation, economic factors, developmental issues, to the point where Africans may think that the new presentation is not for them. What do you think about it?
Okay. Who's asking this? How did this come about? In other words, that's usually always comes from personal interpretation of what's going on. Everything is focused on the is. It's just very simple. Okay. We don't have masters or gurus or authorities here. And there is no constitution. There's no Bill of Rights. There is not all this funny stuff that's been created here and through the ages telling people they have rights, which is just enslaves them. But the books and what I've written, what I'm saying out there, it's all pointed towards the is. So that's the isness, the oneness life is. There's the guidance, the real guides. We're here. I manage what I've created. That's the Newman idea. I just wrote a group. Newman is new management, simply managing this, and everybody else steps up as equals. We all support each other. So where is it that you see, or what you're referring to, that there are two definitions to what I just explained?
Yeah, I was saying that it's not about definition. So it's about people's perception of reality, of what the new presentation is, or which is influenced by what they think it ought to be, which it is not, and all that. So these differences in perception.
Okay, I get what you're saying, Charles. Yeah, different in the perception, etc. That's always going to be an issue. Okay, Charles, always. And this is where individually each person deals with it. Just like here, we have city, state, you know, um, and the big governments or whatever. I'll just use them as an example. Everybody kind of takes care of their own, and it's like a child that's 5 years old. It's like an adult that's 25 years old. It's going to depend upon their experiences and their understanding, their learning, their focus. It's a lot of things. And so, it's kind of like the bees flying back to the hive. Where is the right place to land? The bees just land anywhere they can, and they're walking all over, each other. And it's okay because, see, they understand that this is just how it is. There's no formula to it. So, again, we're in a literalized world, and we keep trying to box things in and literalize it. Well, this is a risk taker position. It's like a poker game. It's very real. And people are looking for absolutes. There are no absolutes because life is an endlessness. But in creation, with our minds, we try to curtail it into an absolute. And so this is where you, with the Africans as an example, because you're the best representative. And just like in the government, they have representatives, they have embassies, they have ambassadors, etc. See? So, what Kelsey's doing over there, or Val, or Eric, or Vesna, or whatever, you know, uh, they're doing their thing. They're doing their thing the best they can to relate to these people And even I get, chats every day from people. It's like, well, can we have a better job? Can, you take away our tap lining? Can we do this? Can we do that? Well, this is where people learn to take care of themselves, is what it is. And, but we've been taught to be literalized. We've been taught to beg for things. And that's understandable too, because when we were children, we were raised, we were always asking, we were begging for this and that. And then we come into religion and we're still begging. Everything is begging. So when people come into this, so I'm going a broad spectrum here. But again, how I see it every moment is that it always goes back to the individual, one person at a time. That's real, and what they decide. So it's not hocus pocus. It's not a magic wand. It's all through our decisions. Just like a career. What each person decides for themselves to be, a doctor, a lawyer, a banker, whatever. That's a personal decision, and it's not that we're all going to be the same. But we do see, the idea here, which is presented so that people have a reference to focus on something to learn. But that is a huge journey. So, you know, comparison, looking back, and I mean back, okay, way back to the corporation when I was there. And the corporation is way back. It's in another time zone altogether, okay? Basically, this is going to be kind of hard for people, but it's like with the dinosaurs, all right? This is how quickly the isness of life is. It's so awesome how it is, how real it is. And that is that all these old references of a particular, that's all they are. They don't have any value anymore. So really the whole thing is, this is the new school now. And that is, learn what the is. If people want to put other things in their way, nice sounding things that they've been raised with, if it's religion, politics, whatever, well, that's their choice. But guess what? That's not it. This is what confuses people, is they put other issues and ideas before the reality, before learning to see and pivot from that, the isness life is. So this is what I do, and I'm not saying I'm right. It's not about that. And what's so cool is there are no rules, regulations, stipulations, dogma, doctrines, all this stuff. Just like the birds, we don't need it. But each person has to learn to do this for themselves, learn to figure it out and interpret it. And this is where the Skypes are best, so people can discuss with each other how to figure this out. Because yes, most people are unaware, but just getting an answer to a question, guess what? That's not it. All right. That is not it. That is part of the process, but that's not the final position, you might say, of recognizing the is. That's just part of the process. So, but many people are stuck there. They want an answer to, what is the answer to life? What are you holding back, Duane? What is the secret that you're not telling us? Well, the secret is you have to figure out what life is for yourself, and then decide how to relate this to what we are doing, the real guides are doing, the is doing, etc. So yeah, that's huge, Charles, and it's a lifetime. And look at the people that ask the question. All right, they're thinking that because they've come somewhere from some spiritual path or something, that they know something. Well, they do. They have reference. That's really all they have, is reference. Now it's a new position, and hey, this could take 100 years, 1,000 years. Let's get real here. Now we're dealing with the whole of life. It's just that all of a sudden it's going to fall in your lap. Actually, it is all here and now, and it's just that people don't see it. And so there are variables with everything, because we have creation, we have the levels of creation, we have the real universes and this endlessness. So you have a lot of variables there, don't you? Whoa, that's huge. So to bring it back, the idea here is that this is a risk taker position. It's like you're stepping up to the card table, and you're dealt with a hand, and let's see how you can figure it out. because this is how it is, and that's your seat, and that's the side of the table you're on. And so we're all dealing with that. I am every day too. I'm dealing with the same issues, the same things, etc. But it's all the isness. It's all the isness, and learning to recognize that, and at the same time doing something real, having a real purpose while you're here. So that's a lot to juggle. And that's going to take more than a few weeks or a month or years, even years in a lifetime, just doing the new you and expecting something. Okay. And even when people have real experiences on the real side, there's more to that than just having the experience. It's more than just, oh, I had an experience with Rebazar and Paul, and they told me this and that. And so the individual many times is thinking, oh, well, my life is complete because I have contact with the guides. Guess what? Until you stand real with the all is, independent of those ideas that you have about that, no, you're not there yet. The guides are there, they're babysitting us, okay, until we have that real position. So that's a big leap. And then here we are in the human area with all these attitudes. And so the best we can do is, like yourself in Africa, like I said a long time ago, you have Africa, I'll take the rest of the world in creation. All right. You just handle Africa and these people and have fun with that. Have fun, because the issues are always going to come up. Just like the president of the United States, every day it's an issue. It's this, it's that, it's whatever, etc. See, management, you've got those issues, and they're not going to go away. You step up and you be ready to deal with them, because you see how the world is. I see how the world is, and I'm taking on a bigger picture that's never been done before, never, but I'm taking it on. And so again, this is part of the adventure. Each person decides that, but most people, again, they've been raised by their parents. They've been babysat by these institutions, going to school, and then their spiritual paths and all this understanding and whatever they've collected. And they expect something from that. They almost expect, again, when people have those ideas, what they're really doing is that they're still agreeing with the authority idea, instead of stepping up and swimming across the ocean by themselves, because life is always with them. We are all in the same life, you see. So again, it's that authority idea that's in the subconscious that's still there, and people are looking to some kind of authority, thinking that the guides are babysitters and authorities, and that they are slaves to our ideas of this and that. Yes, they're there, they will do certain things, and they see what's going on, like our parents. But realistically, at some point, it's time to jump off from that and just be real. All right. So this is where, this is the idea that is being presented. Again, the Nupresentation is just a presentation. It is not what people think it is. We are not an authority. We don't tell people what to do. We don't get them jobs, etc. We provide real guidance if people can learn to see it. Yeah, so that's a whole lot, though. So there you go, Charles.
It's a new position, and in fact, it's really hard for uh, many people to grasp it, especially of course, in Africa. They've been indoctrinated by this religious dogma, and also those who have Phillips had some spiritual education or something like that. There's always this tendency of looking up to somebody to do something for them, to intervene in their lives in some kind of miraculous way. You find most of the Africans lay their complaints, or just relay this to Duane, we are going through this, see that everything has just collapsed, there's no job, circumstances are just so dire, the livelihood so uncertain. Please convey our problems to Duane and Eva, tell them whether they can do something for us. See, there's this tendency of looking up, always looking up. And but this is a new position, as you said, and people have to come to terms with it. Where you see one of the new friends I've been discussing with him, often I answer some of their questions, which I don't just I don't bother to ask you at all because I know the answer already from talking with you, interacting for a long. So I know exactly what you say in such situations. And so when I tell them there's one, maybe you thought it was a joke, he wrote to you, and you wrote back. So then he asked me to the meaning of what you said. I just laughed. I told him, and he wrote just a few sentences, maybe just about 3 sentences. He wanted me uh, to translate for him and to explain, have an explanation. Maybe he thought so. That miraculous answer he was waiting for had come, something vastly different from what I've been telling him. And behold, the words that Duane said was exactly what I told him. Yes. So he thought that maybe I was on, uh, maybe there was something that I was hiding from him, or that I was not representative enough of his consent. So he had to go directly to you. And there's this question of looking up to a spiritual master, someone who communes with maybe God and the whole universe, who can just intervene and stop things and rearrange things in their life, something like that. And so he wrote to you and you wrote back. I smiled. I just wrote back. I told him I've been telling you this, and it's exactly what Duane has told you. So what are you going to do now? So that is it, Duane. So then we will soon have a compilation of the names of God, my some people who aren't new friends or new students. And among these names may figure the ALLLISS. I think the ALLLISS is another name for God. So, and then you seem to give credence to this line of thinking uh, in the real far country, where you give the ALLLISS the masculine gender he. So what I want to ask is, does this not have some religious connotations? And could it have been referred to as it to be out of this duality of the lower realms? Yeah.
So, are you asking about what is written in the real far country?
Yeah.
Okay, is that the idea? Okay,
Yeah. Because you give it the gender he. So,
I
and
did. I wrote that.
yeah, yeah,
I did. Are you
yeah.
sure?
In the real far country, yes.
Okay, then I'm just going to sit here and say, oh, okay, because that's interesting. Because it's I remember Rebazar referring to it. This is originally what I pivot off of, and then from what I've experienced and what I recognize and perceive. And Rebazar started off with the isness and the it. You know, his idea was to know where it is. Okay, so this was the reference. So if I did use that, okay, I would say that was a typo. I'll step up and say that because, again, it is not that. There is no masculine or feminine. It's like the sun shining. It's an isness. That is the best definition. And actually, with let me say this, with what we're going through here with this, people's, and I get it, you know, just like coming into the corporation, there's always a struggle, and the struggle is really with ourselves. The old term was dark night of soul. Okay, so again, that's almost like, you know, the original sin in a way, you know, that the religions use. And, you know, on this planet, everything comes from religion. It really does. It's militarized religion because the reptilians were military. And so they created sacrificial religion. Then they created politics and all this, but they already had their politics. So it's really all the same thing. But uh, fortunate we have a real definition now, and through all of this, because, you know, Paul had to do the babysitting. He had to create the restrictions, just like the authorities that, you know, planned the United States as a takeover country. And that is that, you know, the doctrination and all this stuff. And, you know, just like, you know, the Constitution, we the people and all these things created all these things for people to relate to. Well, you know, Paul did the same thing because it was the first steps to go through for people to relate to. So he just gathered everything together that existed, and he created this wheel, etc. But now we're into the next step. And I know this is a toughie for people because, again, for eons, people have looked through, and the biggest thing is authorities. And this is a reality. We look to our parents, you know, we look to the police, we look to the government, we look to whatever, and we're used to this. We look to the gods, we look to saviors. And this is so. But, you know, when you just let these ideas go, just let them go. Be like the sun shining, and take the time to recognize what life is besides what creation is, and at the same time be in creation and do what you do. That's how simple it is. And so these are the best of times, and that is that people have this opportunity and understanding now to where, yeah, the authorities are there, but you have the right to decide your own life and do as they do or do better, and that is, don't do what they do. Don't do anything that they do. Because, again, just like the birds, they're not doing what the authorities do. They're not doing anything close to it, and etc. So this is how I see it. So with the real guides and the true silent ones and the focus that I have, this is what I'm seeing. I've positioned myself with what I call a real universal position that is not seen yet. But again, this is my focus, to where all these other things, they don't really need to exist as they do. In other words, as distortion. We're in a world that's totally poisoned, and I don't care if it says organic. There ain't no organic. Everything is poisoned, and that's very real. And so I would say it's time to step up and just get real. We're not here to good and bad things. It's just that wake up, and each person is the decider of their life. That's real, and it's okay. Where all the sun's shining is simply a recognition now. See? Before it was a belief, a following, a membership, you know, etc. Even I've changed the new student thing. That's the old term. It's everybody is, and I just redid book 6. It's called Watch Your Dreams. That's the new book 6, which was Your Dream Visions. It's just another version, but I took out new students and it's new supporters. So this is, again, just like the real guides. I'm just demonstrating what they're doing. We support each other. So I've brought it through the steps to now. So this is the idea of becoming more aware. All right. We don't stay the same and use the same awareness. We become more aware and we make better choices, and that can be moment to moment. So one day it's this, and the next day it's that. And yeah, unless you pay attention, just like when you go to school, you have a new lesson every day from the teacher. And you as the student can't say to the teacher, well, you know, I did the homework last week. Why do I have to do another lesson? Well, you don't have to, but that's where you're going to stay stuck with the old lesson. You know, that's your choice. See how subtle it is? So the isness, I see it every moment as new and now. And so when I bring something up that seems to contradict what I, wrote or said before, then people go back to the old reference. I see that. But really, the idea is that, yes, the old reference is there, and in a way we need it because we're in this strange, distorted, literalized world, how it is, so we got to deal with it, okay? We're not going to sit here and erase it, but at the same time, now we have another comparison to this isness to become more aware. Do you see that? You see how cool it is? It all pivots off of that. So do we get mixed up in these definitions with these references, or do we see the reference for what it is? And if a person cannot really recognize the isness, which that is a big deal, use the sun as an example. So when you compare an idea, something like, like it says in the Declaration of Independence, we the people, okay, compare that to the sun. Okay, which one do you want? Which one makes sense? Okay, is one control with authoritarians? And is the other not? There's a comparison there. So see, each person decides their position. And so again, we've come through, the different things, astral projection. And Paul started off with that bilocation, and they turned it into soul travel, which is the movement through the so-called movement through creation only. And so I redefined all of that into a real position, which is real, and it has nothing to do with any of those, but the person will still do those things. They're still going to drive their car down the street and have movement, okay? Some kind of traveling or movement. You're still going to be doing that in creation. But UP, universal position. So this is a focus on the isness. So you decide your position like you would a doctor. You want to be a doctor, you decide to be a doctor, you do what it takes to be the doctor. That's what UP is. So this is the best of all times because now you have this broad spectrum of references to relate to a true reality that is pure, sincere, and real, and is not an authority. So if there is something in the books that's written or whatever, I just gave the new definition here. So that was then, this is now. And yeah, I've went over the books many times and I've seen certain things. There's misspelled words and whatever. I never had these things professionally edited. That's a lot of money to do that. And I've had other people edit them too, but we're doing the best we can here, especially in this world where it's amazing. We're here right now with everything, how poisoned it is. And we're constantly having to, figure out or bring up remedies just to keep us going every day to offset what is going here, plus the consciousness, plus the unconscious agreement. I'm going to give you a little hint to something here. And that is that, yes, we're in this life right now, right today, this moment. And as nighttime comes and you look at the sky, you see all that blackness out there. We call it outer space, and it seems to go on and on. Well, guess what? That wasn't always black. Not even close. It was filled with stars and light, secondary light, of course. But what's made it black is the agreement through eons with the deception that is taking place now. And that's why there are black holes in the galaxy sucking in stars and planets. So until people wake up from that, they're going to be sucked in. So this is a real wake up. Again, I keep suggesting, figure out what the is and stand from that position and present it from there. So again, we are passing around ideas that sound good, but guess what? No law, no nothing is going to stop the black holes because those are unconscious agreements. And so until people recognize what they're doing in creation to recognize the is, they're stuck with it. That's it. This is the bigger stuck here. So in other words, people have been through spiritual paths and all these cute little ideas and how they think of themselves, and they're having experiences on the real side, fine. And they're listening to the guidance, fine. The boys aren't going to tell you what life is. They're going to guide you along, and you decide you know, how you're going to figure this out and what you're going to do. And just like the individuals in the membership or in anything, you know, they're thinking that just because they have real side experiences and they're told something, or they had experiences with Rebusar, that, oh, okay, my life is fine. Self-convinced. If that's what you want to be, fine. But I see it every single moment new, and I see it from that position. And just like we are here, right here and now, there's always a bigger picture. There's always more. So when something comes up, you know, realistically learn how to deal with it in this moment now. And yes, you have references accordingly. So yes, if you get pulled over by the police and you get a traffic ticket, okay, read the Constitution, read them your rights or whatever. Yeah, that's where it comes in. But when it comes to the true reality life is, guess what? Where does that come in? How does that relate? Is that going to solve your life? Is that going to give you the recognition you need? So, you know, this is the big adventure. This is the best part it's ever been. And I'm not just doing a political speech here. This is just very real. This is how real it gets. And my focus is to get this to a particular like never before. That's my focus. And there's a few people that that are doing this with me. And this is the fun part. And eventually more will know. Because again, I don't want interference from others while I'm doing this. I have enough interference from the reptilians through this galaxy and all of creation and the Kalam God trying to attack all of us all the time. And everybody's getting it. The idea here is that anybody that steps up that has the courage to just see more than they have before, guess what? You know, the so-called dark forces here, the dark brats, the certain few, etc., whatever, they don't like you. That's it. Slam dunk. And they can be, you know, the politician out there. They can be whoever, the military guy. They can be the cop down the street. I don't know. Because again, you know, you don't know who is who. It's like everybody's a spy here. And that's okay too. This is part of the challenge. So each person decides this is an adventure like no other, and it's okay. The guidance is there. Learn to stand real with what makes sense. This is what the boys do, and this is what they're trying to show everybody. And again, for the most part, most people's personal self comes first. You're still going to do the personal funny stuff. I do it too. You know, it's a funny world. But that doesn't come first. Who am I? I am the experiencer here, like Paul said. I am the experiencer of this isness, more so than just hanging on to ideas that sound good. So that authority idea is huge in the unconscious. That's why we have black holes in this galaxy, because people keep agreeing to authorities, and it's a fallacy. They're all fallacies. We are free beings of real light. We stand real with each other. You learn to do that. You learn to see that and do something accordingly. Now, while we're in creation, this is a toughie. Yeah, it's a lot of creative stuff. I go through things all the time. I've got so many things going, more so than James Bond ever thought of. The thing is, this is what I do because I see it. I could just sit back and do what Harry does, you know, a couple hours a year on the stage and say pretty words. That ain't going to do it. That ain't going to do it at all. But only when I activate it and decide something do the boys step up. Because again, I have to decide. They're not going to decide for me. You know, just like your parents. You know, they're not going to come up and feed you every day, and then you're 30 and 40 years old. They're not going to bring you breakfast and pull the spoon up to your mouth, are they? No. No, it's time for you to figure it out. It's time for each person to. And then just like what we're doing, some of the simple things, sharing these ideas, and then figuring things out that make sense with what's going on in this world, in this senseless world, because the world is not going to change. And it doesn't matter basically what we do, because it's each individual that has to, and it's not change, sorry. It has to, you know, learn to transform, learn to become more aware is the best definition. Each person has to do that for themselves. It's not really going to matter what I say or what I do. It does in a way, but it carries a small weight because the bigger part is the individual deciding that they want to recognize this more so than chasing what exists for their personal life. And I know that's a toughie because this personal self that we've created, you know, it wants things, and it wants things all the time, good, bad, or indifferent. So hell of a challenge, easy to drop into creation, toughy to get through it and stand real with the isness while in creation.